So, what really makes a leader great? Is it just about having raw power, or is it more about moral clarity? We're about to jump into a case study in leadership that, even though it's thousands of years old, holds some incredibly critical lessons for us today. We're going to dive into the story of King David to really unpack this timeless equation of power, justice, and what it actually takes to build a legacy that lasts.
And this, right here, this is the tightrope every single leader has to walk. Think about it. Power without any sense of justice? That's just tyranny, plain and simple. But on the flip side, what good are just ideas if they're too weak to be enforced? This quote really frames the central challenge we're exploring. How do you wield power in a way that serves justice? And how do you build a system of justice that actually has the strength to stand up for itself?
All right, to really get our heads around this, we're going to follow a five-part journey. We'll kick things off by defining a king's true strength. Then we'll see how that power has to be used for the people. From there, we'll look at this idea of a miracle of progress. And then we'll tackle the super important role of humility. And finally, we'll put all the pieces together to solve that ultimate leadership equation. Okay, first up, what is the true source of a king's strength? The philosophy here is pretty profound. It says that real authority isn't found in a fancy crown or a scepter. Nope, it actually comes from the conviction of the heart. True power isn't something you impose from the outside in. It's something you build from the inside out. This breaks it down perfectly. You've got the two ways leadership can totally fail. On one side, you have unchecked power, which just crushes everything it touches and eventually leads to its own ruin. But on the other side, you've got these noble, beautiful ideals with absolutely no strength to back them up, like a feather that just gets blown away by the slightest breeze. The lesson is crystal clear. One without the other is totally incomplete and, frankly, useless. So let's say a leader actually pulls it off. They find that perfect, delicate balance between power and justice. What's the point? Well, it's not about personal gain or getting rich. It's about turning that power outward for the benefit of the people. The entire goal shifts from conquest to construction, from taking things to building a society that's designed to thrive long after you're gone. And listen, this wasn't just some lofty idea. It was a practical blueprint. It started with fostering a just community so that fairness wasn't some happy accident, but the actual norm. Next, you build a reliable judicial system that people can genuinely trust. And finally, you educate everyone on these core values. Because a nation isn't just its buildings and roads, right? It's the shared beliefs that hold it all together. It's the software of a society, not just the hardware. Now, this quote, it completely flips the script on what power is all about. It argues that the real way to measure a leader's success isn't by what they pile up for themselves, but by what they contribute to their people. It's the core principle of servant leadership. Your power is a tool to help others, not yourself. Which brings us to our third big idea, the miracle of progress. Now, when we say miracle, we're not talking about some kind of magic trick. We're talking about something far more impressive, that almost magical process of turning raw, untapped potential into a full-blown societal renaissance. So what in the world is a practical miracle? Well, think of it this way. It's the ability to look at a pile of raw material, in this case, iron ore, and see not just a rock, but the potential for tools, for buildings, for a whole new way of life. It's all about combining what you have with a vision for what could be, and using that to spark real, tangible progress. And this doesn't just happen by chance. It's a clear process. You start with the raw resource, the iron. But that's useless without step two, applying vision and skill to actually transform it. Only then do you get the amazing result, a society that is fundamentally upgraded. And you know what? This is a universal formula for progress, whether your iron is technology, data, or just human potential. But here's the thing. This path of progress is never a perfectly straight line. And why is that? It's because leaders are human. And that brings us to a really crucial, often overlooked quality, greatness in humility. This is where we have to face the fact that true strength isn't about being perfect. It's about how you handle your imperfections. I mean, it's so easy to forget the immense pressure leaders are under. Just imagine it for a second. Every single day, you're putting out fires, dealing with political threats from all sides, and facing your own personal tests and demons. Leadership isn't just sitting on a throne. It's a constant, dynamic battle on multiple fronts. So when a leader inevitably messes up, and they will, what's the path back? This model gives us a clear three-step guide. It all starts with the courage to just acknowledge the mistake. No excuses, no spin. That's followed by genuine remorse. But the final step, and honestly the most critical one, is action. Turning that mistake into fuel for reform, both for yourself and for the society you're supposed to be serving.
And this right here is the ultimate test of leadership. Greatness isn't about being flawless. It's about having the integrity to admit when you're wrong and the drive to actually fix it and correct your course. That's what builds real, lasting trust.
And that brings us to the endgame, the final equation. This is where all these pieces we've been talking about, power, service, progress, and humility, all come together. This is the formula for a legacy that actually endures. So here it is, the complete formula. We started with power fused with justice. But the crucial third ingredient, the real catalyst, is humility. That's the element that allows a leader to learn, to adapt, and to grow. So it's power, guided by justice and tempered by humility. That's the equation for a legacy that can stand the test of time.
And so we come full circle, right back to where we started. But this quote, it just lands differently now, doesn't it? It's no longer just a philosophical puzzle. We can see it now for what it is, the daily, high-stakes balancing act that defines true leadership.
Which leaves us with one final question to chew on. Because this isn't just ancient history, it's a direct challenge for all of us today. So what is the iron in your hands? It could be your talent, your influence, your resources, whatever it is. The real question is, how are you going to shape it with justice?